The nanny approached the millionaire and told him not to leave his son with the stepmother. The next morning, a luxury car was parked near her humble home. Madison Carter parked her second-hand Honda at the edge of the Sinclair estate, allowing herself a moment to admire the sprawling Georgian mansion that had been her workplace for the past 3 years. Morning sunlight glinted off the tall windows, making them look like golden eyes watching over the manicured grounds. This place had become more than just a job to her. It was a second home. Miss Madison, Miss Madison. The eager voice of 7-year-old Caleb Sinclair carried across the lawn as he raced toward her, his Batman backpack bouncing against his small frame. "Whoa there, speed racer," Madison laughed, catching him mid-leap. She spun him around once before setting him down and ruffling his sandy blonde hair. "What's got you so excited this morning?" "Dad's coming home today." Caleb's eyes, the same deep blue as his father's, sparkled with excitement. "And he says he has a super important surprise." Madison raised an eyebrow as she guided him back toward the house. "Is that so? Did he give you any hints?" "Nope." Caleb shook his head emphatically. "But Mrs. Fletcher has been cleaning like crazy, and she only does that when something big is happening." Madison couldn't help but smile at his observant nature. For a 7-year-old who had lost his mother at 4, Caleb possessed a remarkable emotional intelligence. Perhaps it was precisely because of that loss that he noticed the small details others missed. Inside, the mansion hummed with activity. Mrs. Fletcher, the housekeeper, directed a small army of cleaners with military precision, while Peterson, the groundskeeper, arranged fresh flower displays in the grand foyer. "Madison, there you are." Mrs. Fletcher bustled over, her silver hair pulled back in its usual tight bun. Mr. Sinclair called. "His flight landed early. He'll be here within the hour, and he's not alone." Madison's heart skipped a beat. "Not alone. That's all he said." The housekeeper lowered her voice. "But between you and me, he sounded different, almost happy." It had been a long time since anyone had described Robert Sinclair as happy. After his wife Elizabeth's death 3 years ago, the successful businessman had retreated into a shell of work and quiet grief, present for his son but emotionally distant from everyone else. "Caleb," Madison turned to the boy, who was bouncing on his heels with anticipation. "Why don't we go upstairs and make sure your room is tidy before your dad gets home?" The morning passed in a blur of activity. Madison helped Caleb straighten his extensive collection of dinosaur figures and space models, all while fielding his excited questions about what his father's surprise might be. A new puppy, a trip to Disney World, a space telescope. "What if it's a new mom?" Caleb suddenly asked, freezing with a T-Rex midair. Madison carefully kept her expression neutral. "What makes you think that? Tommy at school got a new mom last year after his real mom went to heaven." Caleb shrugged, his small shoulders rising and falling with forced casualness. "Dad's been alone a long time." Madison sat on the edge of his bed, patting the space beside her. When Caleb joined her, she draped an arm around his shoulders. "How would you feel about that if your dad found someone new?" Caleb's forehead wrinkled in thought. "I don't know. Would she like dinosaurs?" Madison laughed, giving him a squeeze. "The right one would." The sound of tires on gravel interrupted their conversation. Caleb's eyes widened, and he bolted to the window. "It's Dad." They made it downstairs, just as Robert Sinclair entered the foyer at 43. He cut an imposing figure, tall and broad-shouldered, with the confident bearing of a man accustomed to command. His tailored suit couldn't hide the slight shadows under his eyes, from constant international flights. But today, something was different. There was a lightness to him Madison hadn't seen before. And then she noticed the woman beside him. "Christine," Robert said, his hand at the small of her back. "This is my son, Caleb." She was stunning. Madison had to admit that much. Mid-30s, with glossy dark hair falling in perfect waves around a heart-shaped face. Her cream designer dress complemented her olive skin, and when she smiled, perfect white teeth flashed between ruby-red lips. "Hello, Caleb." Christine knelt, bringing herself to eye level with the suddenly shy boy. "Your father has told me so much about you. I've been looking forward to meeting you." Caleb glanced at Madison, who gave him an encouraging nod. "Hi," he said quietly, accepting Christine's outstretched hand. Madison didn't miss the way Christine's eyes flickered, just for a second. When Caleb didn't immediately warm to her, a flash of something annoyance, calculation. It was gone before Madison could name it. "And this is Madison, Caleb's nanny," Robert continued, finally acknowledging her presence. "We'd be lost without her." Christine turned, her smile perfectly in place. "The famous Madison. Robert says you're practically family." Madison extended her hand, feeling oddly formal. "It's nice to meet you." Christine's grip was cool and firm. Up close, Madison could see that her eyes weren't just brown. They were almost black, like polished obsidian, reflecting everything but revealing nothing of what lay beneath. "Everyone." Robert's voice pulled the attention back to him. "Christine and I have an announcement." He wrapped an arm around Christine's waist, looking younger than Madison had seen him in years. "We're engaged." The room erupted in congratulations. Mrs. Fletcher clapped her hands together in delight, and the other staff members offered warm wishes. Only Madison noticed that Caleb hadn't moved, his small face a mixture of confusion and uncertainty. "When's the wedding?" Mrs. Fletcher asked, already mentally reorganizing household schedules. 6 weeks from now," Christine answered before Robert could. "A small ceremony here on the grounds. Why wait when you've found the right one?" She gazed up at Robert with adoration, her hand resting possessively on his chest. Later that night, after helping Caleb with his bedtime routine, Madison found herself lingering in his doorway. Moonlight spilled through his window, illuminating his sleeping form. "Is everything okay?" Robert's voice startled her. "Yes, just checking on him." Madison turned, finding her employer closer than she expected. "Congratulations again. Christine seems lovely." Robert's face softened. "Thank you. It was unexpected. We've only known each other 3 months. But when you know, you know." He glanced past her to his sleeping son. "How did he take it?" Madison chose her words carefully. "He's processing. It's a big change. Christine is wonderful with children. She used to work with a children's charity before switching to art dealing. They just need time to get to know each other." Madison nodded, but something tugged at her instincts. The same feeling she got when Caleb was about to run into the street, or when he was hiding a fever. A warning bell, faint but insistent. "Of course," she said instead. "Change takes time," as Robert bid her good night and walked away. Madison couldn't shake the memory of Christine's obsidian eyes, reflecting everything but revealing nothing of the shadows that might lurk within. The Sinclair estate transformed over the next 6 weeks, from a quiet refuge into a whirlwind of activity. Wedding planners, florists, and caterers swept through the mansion like a glittering hurricane. Madison found herself juggling her usual responsibilities with Caleb while navigating the subtle changes Christine's presence brought to the household. "Do you think she likes me?" Caleb asked one afternoon while Madison helped him with his math homework. It had been 3 weeks since Robert's announcement, and Christine had moved into the guest wing, temporarily until the wedding. Madison looked up from the multiplication worksheet. "Your future stepmom, of course she does." Caleb chewed on his pencil, a habit Madison was trying to break. "She smiles a lot, but it's different from your smile," he demonstrated, pulling his lips back in an exaggerated grimace that made Madison laugh. "Different people show their feelings in different ways," she explained. Though privately, she understood what Caleb meant. Christine's smiles never quite reached those obsidian eyes. "She changed my dinosaurs," Caleb blurted suddenly. Madison frowned. "What do you mean?" "I always keep my T-Rex guarding my bed and the Stegosaurus on my bookshelf, but yesterday they were all lined up on my window. She said they looked more aesthetic that way." He stumbled over the unfamiliar word before Madison could respond. Christine's voice floated through the doorway. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere." She glided into the study, a vision in pale blue silk. "Robert told me you're quite the artist, Caleb. I thought perhaps we could do some painting together before dinner." Madison noted how Christine directed her words to Caleb but kept her eyes on Madison, as if monitoring her reaction. "We're finishing his homework," Madison explained. "Another 15 minutes and he's all yours." "Oh, surely math can wait for inspiration." Christine laughed lightly, but there was steel beneath the velvet. "Robert said you could use more creative outlets, didn't he?" "Caleb," the boy looked uncertainly between the two women. "Dad said that." "Of course, darling. Now come along." Christine extended her manicured hand, wiggling her fingers expectantly. Madison stepped in smoothly. "How about this? 10 more minutes to finish the worksheet. and then you can paint until dinner. That way, you're not worrying about homework while you're being creative." Christine's smile tightened fractionally. "Well, I suppose that makes sense." She turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, Madison, I've been meaning to talk to you. I'm thinking of rearranging some of the household schedules after the wedding. Nothing major, just adjustments." The implied warning lingered in the air long after Christine had left. The wedding day dawned clear and perfect, as if even the weather bent to Christine's will. Madison spent the morning helping Caleb into his miniature tuxedo, her heart aching at how grown up he looked. "You're going to do great," she assured him, fixing his crooked bow tie. As ring bearer, Caleb had been practicing his solemn walk for days, terrified of disappointing his father, or worse, his soon-to-be stepmother. "What if I trip?" he whispered, eyes wide with anxiety. Christine said everything has to be perfect. Madison knelt, placing her hands on his shoulders. "Nobody's perfect, buddy. If you trip, you get back up and keep going. That's what matters." The ceremony unfolded on the back lawn, where white chairs faced an elegant floral arch overlooking the rolling Tennessee hills. Only 60 guests attended. Christine had insisted on an intimate affair, mostly Robert's business associates, and a handful of her friends whom Madison had never seen before. Madison sat in the back row, watching as Robert stood beneath the arch, his face alight with an emotion she hadn't seen since before Elizabeth's death. When the string quartet began playing, all heads turned to watch Christine process down the aisle, radiant in a sleek designer gown that reportedly cost more than Madison's yearly salary. Caleb performed his duty flawlessly, his small face serious as he carried the rings on a white satin pillow. When he reached the front, Robert gave him a proud wink. Christine merely nodded, her attention already fixed on her groom. At the reception afterward, Madison kept a watchful eye on Caleb as he navigated the adult-centered celebration. As the evening wore on, she found him sitting alone at a table, looking lost amid the swirl of laughter and champagne. "Hey there, ringmaster," she said, sliding into the chair beside him. "Tired?" He nodded, leaning against her side. "Dad promised we'd have cake together, but he's been dancing with Christine forever. I'm sure he'll—" "Caleb." "Darling!" Christine appeared suddenly, her cheeks flushed from dancing. "There you are. Some of the guests are asking to meet you. Come along." Before Madison could intervene, Christine had whisked Caleb away, throwing a dismissive, "We've got this," over her shoulder. Later that night, after the guests had departed, and Caleb had finally fallen asleep, Madison found herself wandering the quiet gardens, processing the day's events. The sound of voices drifted through an open window. Robert and Christine in the master suite. "Don't think it's healthy, the amount of time he spends with her," Christine was saying, her tone concerned. "Madison's been with us for years," Robert replied. "Caleb adores her." "That's exactly my point, darling." Christine's voice softened. "He's becoming too dependent. I want to be a real mother to him. But how can I if she's always there, undermining my authority? She'd never do that. Not intentionally, perhaps, but children are impressionable. And now that we're married, shouldn't we be focusing on building our family? Just the three of us?" Madison backed away, her heart sinking. The changes began slowly at first. Christine reorganized Madison's schedule, reducing her hours with Caleb. New rules appeared. Caleb was to call Christine Mother, not by her first name. His bedtime routine, once a special time for stories with Madison, was now Christine's domain. Though more often than not, she cut the stories short or skipped them entirely. 3 weeks after the wedding, Madison noticed the shift in Caleb. The bubbly, talkative boy grew quieter, his exuberance dimming like a light being gradually turned down. He picked at his food and startled at loud noises. When Madison tried to draw him out, he'd glance anxiously over his shoulder as if afraid of being overheard. One night, unable to sleep, Madison went to check on him. His room was empty, the bed neatly made and seemingly untouched. Panic fluttered in her chest as she searched the bathroom. The play nook, the window seat, all empty. She was about to alert security when a small sound caught her attention, a muffled sniffle coming from the walk-in closet. Heart pounding, Madison eased the door open. Caleb was huddled in the far corner, knees drawn to his chest, his dinosaur pajamas damp with sweat. When he saw Madison, his face crumpled. "Buddy, what's wrong? Why are you hiding in here?" She knelt beside him, alarmed at how badly he was trembling. "I had a bad dream," he whispered, "about monsters in the shadows." Madison reached for him, but he flinched away, something he'd never done before. "Caleb, you can tell me if something's—" The overhead light suddenly blazed on. Christine stood in the doorway, her silk robe belted tightly around her waist, her face a mask of concern. "What's going on here?" she demanded. Her gaze swept from Madison to Caleb and back again. "Why is my son hiding in a closet in the middle of the night? My son." The claim of ownership hung in the air. "He had a nightmare," Madison explained, rising to her feet. "I was just checking on him." Christine's eyes narrowed. "At 2 a.m? How did you even know he was awake?" "I was doing a routine check." "In his closet," Christine cut her off, voice sharp. She softened as she turned to Caleb. "Darling, did Miss Carter frighten you?" Caleb's eyes widened. He looked between the two women, paralyzed by the tension. "Of course not," Madison said firmly. "Caleb, tell Christine what happened." But Caleb remained silent, his gaze fixed on the floor. Christine moved past Madison and gathered Caleb into her arms. "It's all right now. Mother's here." Over his head, she fixed Madison with a cold stare. "I think we need to discuss your responsibilities tomorrow. Clearly, something isn't working." As Christine led Caleb away, he glanced back at Madison. His eyes filled with something that chilled her to the bone. It wasn't just fear, it was warning. Madison couldn't sleep that night. She paced her small suite at the far end of the east wing, replaying the closet incident in her mind. Caleb's frightened eyes haunted her. Something was wrong. She felt it in her bones, but she couldn't put her finger on exactly what. The next morning, Christine summoned Madison to the sunroom. Robert had already left for an early meeting, leaving his wife to handle what she called domestic matters. "I've been thinking about our arrangement," Christine began, stirring honey into her tea. She wore a silk lounging outfit that probably cost more than Madison's monthly rent. "Caleb is at a delicate age. Structure is important." Madison nodded cautiously. "I agree." "Good." Christine's smile didn't reach her eyes. "From now on, I'll handle bedtime routines. You'll finish at 6 each evening with weekends off." Madison's stomach dropped. "But Mr. Sinclair specifically asked me to maintain consistency in Caleb's routine after his mother died. The therapist said that was before." Christine cut in smoothly. "Robert and I discussed it, and we feel this new arrangement will help Caleb adjust to our family unit better." She checked her diamond-encrusted watch. "Well, I have a charity luncheon. Caleb's in the playroom, 6 o'clock. Madison." After Christine left, Madison found Caleb listlessly pushing a toy car across the carpet. "Hey, buddy," she said, settling beside him. "Want to go for a nature walk? The weather's perfect." His face brightened momentarily, then fell. "Mother says I should stay inside today. She thinks I'm getting too much sun." Madison frowned. "Since when do you worry about too much sun?" Caleb shrugged, a gesture that looked wrong on his small frame. Too adult, too resigned. "Mother knows best. That's what Dad says." For the next week, Madison documented every change in Caleb's behavior in a small notebook she kept in her purse, the way he checked doorways before entering rooms, how he'd stopped singing in the shower, the nervous twitch in his fingers when Christine's heels clicked down the hallway. "Does Christine ever—" Madison paused, choosing her words carefully. They were building a Lego spaceship, one of Caleb's favorite activities. "Does she ever make you feel scared?" Caleb's hands froze over a blue brick. "I'm not supposed to talk about mother like that." "Like what?" "She says complaining is for babies." He lowered his voice to a whisper. "And babies don't get to keep their special toys." A chill ran through Madison. "Did she take something from you?" Caleb's bottom lip trembled. "Mr. Growls. She said he was dirty and had to be washed. But he never came back." Mr. Growls was the stuffed bear Elizabeth had given Caleb on his 3rd birthday. He'd slept with it every night since his mother died. "When did this happen?" "After I told her I didn't want to call her mother." A single tear slid down his cheek. "I miss Mr. Growls." Madison fought to keep her expression neutral while fury built inside her. "I'll look for him, okay? Maybe he just got misplaced in the laundry." That night, after her official hours ended, Madison doubled back to the mansion. Using the staff entrance key she still possessed, she slipped inside and made her way to the master suite. knowing Christine and Robert would be at a business dinner until late. The bedroom was immaculate, too perfect, like a hotel room rather than a lived-in space. Madison searched carefully, making sure to leave everything exactly as she found it. In Christine's closet, among rows of designer clothes, she discovered a locked Prada handbag tucked on the highest shelf, with no way to open it without leaving evidence. Madison reluctantly abandoned the search. She was closing the closet door when she heard voices in the hallway. Panicking, she ducked behind the heavy drapes by the window. "I don't care what it costs," Christine was saying, her voice closer now. "Just make sure it's ready when I need it." "These things take time," replied a male voice Madison didn't recognize. "Creating new identities isn't as simple as it used to be. You have 2 weeks. After that, we move to the next phase." Madison held her breath as they entered the bedroom. "What about the kid?" the man asked. "What about him?" Christine's tone was dismissive. "He's part of the package. And the nanny. She's watching you like a hawk." A soft laugh. "She'll be dealt with now. Let me see what you've got so far." Papers rustled. Madison desperately wished she could see what they were looking at. "The passport looks good," Christine said eventually. "But the banking documentation needs work. No one will believe those transfers happened organically. Like I said, it takes time." "Which is running out. Robert's getting suspicious. Last night he asked why I was looking at property listings in Costa Rica." "What did you tell him?" "That I was planning a surprise anniversary trip," Christine said with a laugh. Men are so easy to manipulate when they think they're in love. The conversation continued for several more minutes before they moved to another room. Madison waited until the house fell silent before slipping out, her mind racing with what she'd overheard. The next day, she arrived early, determined to speak with Robert before he left for work. She caught him in his study, reviewing documents. "Mr. Sinclair, may I speak with you? It's about Caleb." Robert glanced up, distracted. "Of course, what is it?" Madison took a deep breath. "I'm concerned about some changes in his behavior. He's withdrawn, anxious, and he's having nightmares." "All children go through phases," Robert replied, returning to his papers. "This isn't a phase. It started when Christine." Robert's head snapped up. "When my wife, what, exactly?" The sudden sharpness in his tone made Madison falter. I think Caleb is afraid of her." "That's absurd." Robert's face hardened. "Christine adores Caleb. He says she took Mr. Growls away as punishment. The old stuffed bear, Christine mentioned it was falling apart. She ordered a new one." Robert frowned. "Madison, I value your dedication to my son, but I won't have you making accusations against my wife." "I'm not making accusations. I'm telling you what I've observed. And I'm telling you that you've overstepped." Robert stood. "Christine warned me you might have trouble adjusting to the new family dynamic." Madison's heart sank. "Mr. Sinclair, please. I only care about Caleb's well-being. As do we all." His tone softened slightly. "Look, I understand this transition has been difficult. Perhaps you need some time off. Take a few days. Clear your head." "That's not—" "I insist." His smile was kind but firm. "Take the rest of the week. With pay, of course." Madison recognized dismissal when she heard it. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Mr. Sinclair, has Christine ever mentioned Costa Rica to you?" A flicker of surprise crossed his face. "How did you know about that?" "The trip was meant to be a surprise. Just something I overheard," Madison replied carefully. "Enjoy your day, sir." During her forced vacation, Madison drove to the public library in Nashville, away from any prying eyes at the Sinclair estate. Using the public computers, she searched for information on Christine Sinclair, formerly Christine Blackwood according to the society pages that had covered the wedding. Hours of digging yielded almost nothing before Christine's sudden appearance in Robert's life 6 months ago. A few charity gala photos, a mention as an art dealer in a local magazine, but nothing substantial. As if Christine had materialized out of thin air, Madison was about to give up when she discovered a small article from 3 years earlier about a wealthy Oregon businessman whose new wife had disappeared after emptying their joint accounts. The grainy photo showed the man with a blonde woman, whose smile, despite the different hair color, was hauntingly familiar, and in the background, almost out of frame, stood another woman, watching, a woman with dark hair and obsidian eyes. When Madison returned to work the following Monday, the atmosphere in the Sinclair mansion had shifted. Subtly, Like the air before a storm, the staff averted their eyes when she passed. Mrs. Fletcher, normally chatty, busied herself with lint picking whenever Madison entered a room. Only Caleb seemed genuinely happy to see her, running into her arms the moment she arrived. "I missed you," he whispered, his small arms tight around her neck. "I missed you too, buddy." Madison knelt to his level. "Were you okay while I was gone?" Caleb's eyes darted toward the doorway before he replied, "Mother took me shopping. She bought me toys, but they don't talk to me like my old ones." Before Madison could ask what he meant, Christine appeared, elegant in a cream pantsuit. "Caleb, darling, don't monopolize Miss Carter. She has duties to attend to." Her smile was pleasant, her voice melodious, but her eyes remained flat. "Madison, a word." In the hallway, Christine's demeanor changed instantly. "Robert tells me you've been making disturbing insinuations." "I was expressing concerns about Caleb's well-being," Madison replied evenly, though her heart hammered against her ribs. "Let me be clear." Christine's voice dropped to a silky whisper. "Your position in this household exists at my discretion now. One more incident, and you'll find yourself not only unemployed but unemployable in this entire county." Madison refused to be intimidated. "All I care about is Caleb." "Then we want the same thing." Christine's smile returned, sharp as a blade. "Because Caleb is my son now, and a mother knows what's best." Throughout the day, Madison documented new troubling behaviors. Caleb winced when raising his arm to reach a book. He refused to change for swimming, claiming a sudden dislike of the pool he'd always loved. At lunch, he barely touched his sandwich, though he'd been forbidden breakfast for dawdling that morning. Madison photographed everything with her phone: the uneaten meals, the flinch when Christine entered a room, the dark circles under his eyes. That afternoon, while Caleb napped, she crept into his bathroom and found what she'd been dreading: small bruises on his upper arms, the size and shape of fingertips that had gripped too hard, fighting back tears of rage. Madison took photos, her hands shaking. This ended now. She found Robert in his study, catching him just as he ended a call with Tokyo. "Mr. Sinclair, I need to speak with you. It's urgent." He looked up, irritation crossing his features. "I have another call in 5 minutes." "This can't wait." Madison closed the door. "It's about Caleb." "Not this again." "He has bruises," Madison interrupted, holding out her phone. "Finger-shaped bruises, and he's not eating, not sleeping. Something is seriously wrong." Robert stared at the photos, his face unreadable. "Children bruise easily. He could have gotten these anywhere. These aren't from play. Someone grabbed him, hard enough to leave marks. And you're implying my wife did this." His voice was dangerously low. "I'm asking you to look at the evidence in front of you." Madison pushed on, desperate to make him understand. Caleb was a happy, well-adjusted child before Christine came into his life. Now he's afraid of his own shadow. He hides in closets. He's terrified of disappointing her. "That's enough," Robert snapped. "First you suggest my wife is some kind of con artist. Now you're accusing her of abuse. This is outrageous." "Please," Madison begged. "Just talk to him, really talk to him, without Christine present. Ask him about Mr. Growls. Ask him why he's suddenly afraid of the dark when he never was before." "I think I know my own son." Robert stood, looming over his desk. "What's really going on here, Madison? Are you jealous? Afraid of losing your place in Caleb's life? This isn't about me, isn't it?" His eyes narrowed. "Christine thinks you've grown too attached to Caleb, that you're having trouble accepting she's his mother now." "She's not his mother." Madison regretted the words the instant they left her mouth. "I'm sorry. That was unprofessional. But please, Mr. Sinclair, Robert, I'm begging you to pay attention. Something is wrong in this house." A soft cough came from the doorway. Christine stood there, Caleb's small hand clutched in hers. Her expression was one of wounded dignity. "I came to tell you Caleb wanted to say goodnight," she said quietly. "I didn't realize I was interrupting." "You weren't." Robert's voice was ice. Madison was just leaving. Caleb looked between the adults, his eyes wide and frightened. "No," Madison said, desperation making her reckless. "Caleb, honey, can you tell your dad what we talked about today? About why you've been hiding in the closet?" Christine's fingers tightened visibly around Caleb's hand. He whimpered almost imperceptibly. "Caleb," Madison pressed, dropping to one knee. "It's okay to tell the truth." "Madison," Robert barked. "That's quite enough. Please, just listen to him." "Dad," Caleb's voice was barely audible. "Can I stay with Miss Madison tonight, please?" Christine's face hardened for a split second before melting into concern. "Darling, we talked about this. Miss Carter isn't family. I'm your mother now." "But, no buts," Christine soothed, stroking his hair. "Remember what happens to little boys who argue?" Caleb's face went slack. "They lose their special things." The quiet terror in his voice broke something in Madison. She surged to her feet, turning to Robert. "Don't you hear it? Don't you see what she's doing?" Robert's expression was stone. "Christine, please take Caleb upstairs." After they left, silence filled the room like smoke. Finally, Robert spoke. "You're fired." The words hit Madison like a physical blow. "What?" "Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. I'll have accounting prepare your final check, including 2 months severance." "Robert, please." "Mr. Sinclair," he corrected coldly. "I trusted you with my son, and you've betrayed that trust. You'll collect your things and be off the property within the hour. You can't do this. Caleb needs me. Caleb needs stability and parents who aren't undermined by staff with boundary issues." Robert pressed a button on his desk. "Security will escort you to your quarters and then off the premises. Do not attempt to contact Caleb." 30 minutes later, Madison stood in the circular driveway, a suitcase and 2 boxes containing her worldly possessions beside her. Rain had begun to fall, a soft Tennessee drizzle that matched the tears streaking down her face. As the security guard loaded her things into her Honda, Madison looked up at the mansion. In an upper window, a small face peered out. Caleb, one hand pressed against the glass, his expression lost and betrayed. Madison raised her hand in farewell, her heart shattering when he did the same. Then Christine appeared behind him, her hand closing over his shoulder, pulling him back into the shadows of the house. The cabin Madison shared with her grandmother sat on 2 acres of pine-studded land outside Savannah, Georgia. It was small but sturdy, with a wide porch where Gran spent most days in her rocking chair, weather permitting. Tonight, rain lashed the tin roof as Madison explained her sudden return. "That poor boy," Gran murmured, her rheumatoid hands curled like gnarled branches around a mug of tea. At 78, Eliza Carter's body might be failing, but her mind remained sharp as a tack. "And you're sure this woman means him harm?" "I can feel it," Madison said, pacing the worn floorboards. "But I have no proof Robert would believe. Nothing concrete enough to call the authorities." "Trust your instincts," Gran said firmly. "Your mama had the same gift. Knowing when something wasn't right kept her alive more than once." The mention of her mother sent a familiar pang through Madison. Catherine Carter had been gone 20 years now. Taken by an aneurysm when Madison was just 7, the parallels between her and Caleb, both losing mothers at a young age, had helped forge their bond from the beginning. "I need to sleep," Madison said, though she doubted rest would come. "We'll figure something out tomorrow." That night, Madison dreamed of Caleb running through endless mansion corridors, pursued by a shadow with obsidian eyes. She awoke in a cold sweat, Caleb's screams echoing in her ears. Somehow, she knew they weren't just dreams. In the gray light of dawn, Madison sat on the porch, wrapping a quilt around her shoulders against the lingering chill. Her phone remained stubbornly silent. No calls from the Sinclair estate. No updates on Caleb's welfare. As the sun crested the pines, the crunch of tires on gravel jolted her from her thoughts. A sleek black Mercedes wound its way up the dirt drive, looking as out of place as a panther in a chicken coop. The car stopped. The driver's door opened. Robert Sinclair stepped out, his face haggard, his clothes rumpled as if he'd slept in them. Or hadn't slept at all. "Madison," he called, his voice cracking with desperation. "Caleb is gone." "What do you mean, gone?" Madison gripped the porch railing, her knuckles white. The early morning mist swirled around Robert as he stood in her driveway, looking lost in a way that powerful men never should. "I went to check on him this morning." Robert's voice was hollow. His bed was empty. "We've searched the entire estate. The security cameras. They were disabled sometime after midnight." And Christine, a flicker of something, doubt perhaps, crossed Robert's face. "She's organizing the search from the house. She wanted to be there in case he returns. Madison bit back the accusation burning on her tongue. When did you last see him? At bedtime, around 8. Christine read him a story. Robert ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I had a late conference call with Singapore when I finished around 11. I looked in on him. He was asleep. What about Christine? She was in the bedroom on her laptop. His eyes narrowed slightly. What are you suggesting? Nothing yet. Have you called the police? Of course, they're treating it as a possible kidnapping. The press doesn't have it yet, but it's just a matter of time. He swallowed hard. Madison, I know what I said yesterday, but Caleb, he trusts you. There was a drawing on his bed. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded paper. The crayon drawing showed 3 figures: a small boy with yellow hair, a tall man in a suit, and a woman with brown hair. The woman was surrounded by red scribbles that looked disturbingly like blood. He drew this right after you left, Robert said quietly. I found it when I was looking for clues. I think it's you. Madison studied the crude drawing. Why come to me? You made it clear you think I'm delusional. Because every instinct I have as a father is screaming that something's wrong. His voice broke. And because when Caleb is scared, he doesn't call for me or for Christine. He calls for you, inside the cabin. Gran's voice called out weakly. Madison, who's there? Just a moment, Madison answered, then turned back to Robert. Wait here. In the small living room, Gran sat in her wheelchair, her white hair in a single braid over her shoulder. Is that him? The father? Madison nodded. Caleb's missing. He wants my help. Gran's eyes, clouded with cataracts but still perceptive, studied her granddaughter's face. And you'll go. I have to. Of course you do. Gran patted Madison's hand. Your mother would have done the same. Go pack a bag. I'll call Reverend Simmons' wife to come stay with me. 10 minutes later. Madison slid into the passenger seat of Robert's Mercedes, a duffel bag at her feet. Tell me everything, she said, as Robert accelerated down the dirt drive. Every detail you can remember from yesterday. As they sped toward Nashville, Robert recounted the previous day. Nothing had seemed unusual. Caleb had been quiet at dinner, but he's been quiet a lot lately, Robert admitted, a faint note of self-recrimination in his voice. Was there anything on the security cameras before they went offline? Nothing unusual. Christine checked on him around 10, then nothing until 2:14 a.m. when the system went dark. Madison frowned. What was Christine doing checking on him that late? She said he'd been having nightmares. Robert's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Look, I know you have suspicions about my wife, but she's devastated by this. She's the one who called the police immediately. Of course, Madison murmured, filing away this information. How did the cameras go down? The security company says it looks like someone cut the power to that wing, then to the backup system. The estate's too big to cover every inch, but no perimeter alarms were triggered. So either someone who knew the system extremely well broke in, or it was an inside job, Robert finished her thought, his voice grim. I've had the staff assembled for questioning. They reached the Sinclair estate by mid-morning. Police cars lined the circular drive, and officers with dogs combed the grounds. Madison steeled herself as they approached the front entrance. Christine met them in the foyer, her face perfectly composed despite the smudged mascara that suggested tears. She wore a cashmere sweater and tailored slacks, crisis-appropriate, but still immaculate. You brought her here. Christine's voice was low, controlled. We need all the help we can get, Robert replied firmly. Madison knows Caleb better than anyone. Christine's obsidian eyes fixed on Madison. How convenient that Caleb disappears right after you're fired for inappropriate behavior. Christine, Robert snapped. That's enough, a detective approached, interrupting the tense exchange. Mr. Sinclair, we need to see Caleb's room again. As Robert led the detective upstairs, Christine stepped closer to Madison. I don't know what game you're playing, she whispered, but if anything happens to my son because of you, I'll destroy you. Madison met her gaze steadily. I'm only here for Caleb. As am I. Remember that. The police interview process was exhausting. Madison answered the same questions repeatedly. When did she last see Caleb? Did he seem afraid? Had she noticed anyone suspicious around the estate? She carefully avoided mentioning her suspicions about Christine, knowing without evidence she would only appear vindictive. By late afternoon, the police had found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints that didn't belong. No footprints in the soft earth beneath Caleb's window. It was as if the boy had simply vanished. "I need to see his room," Madison told Robert, when the latest officer finally left them alone. "Already been over with a fine-tooth comb," he said wearily. "Not by me." Robert hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." Caleb's bedroom was unnaturally tidy for a 7-year-old boy. The dinosaurs were arranged in perfect rows on the windowsill. More aesthetic that way, Madison remembered with a chill. The books were alphabetized. Even the crayon box had the colors arranged in perfect spectrum order. "This is Christine's doing," Madison said quietly. "Caleb was never this organized." "She likes order," Robert replied absently. Madison moved methodically through the room, checking under the bed, in the closet. Behind curtains in the adjoining bathroom, she examined the medicine cabinet and the small linen closet. "What are you looking for?" Robert asked, leaning against the doorframe. "I'm not sure yet." Madison's gaze fell on the toy chest. She lifted the lid, finding more perfectly arranged toys, none of which were Caleb's favorites. "Where are his special toys? The T-Rex with the missing arm? The spaceship we built together?" Robert frowned. "I don't know. Christine mentioned something about donating old toys. Without asking you." Madison couldn't keep the edge from her voice. "She was trying to help," Robert said defensively, but uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Madison continued her search. Finally kneeling by the bed, she ran her hand between the mattress and box spring, finding nothing until she reached the far corner. Something crinkled under her fingers. She pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was another drawing. This one showing a stick figure child and a woman with dark hair. They stood beside what looked like a boat. At the bottom, in Caleb's wobbly handwriting, were the words, "Bad place." "What is this?" Robert took the drawing, his face paling. "A boat. I don't understand." Before Madison could respond, a commotion erupted downstairs. They hurried to the main floor, where Mrs. Fletcher was speaking frantically to the detective in charge. "I just remembered," the housekeeper was saying. "Yesterday, before Miss Carter left, I saw Mrs. Sinclair packing a large suitcase. She said she was donating old clothes to charity." But what?" the detective prompted. It seemed odd, because these weren't old clothes, and she put it in her car herself, which she never does. She always has the staff carry heavy items. All eyes turned to Christine, who stood at the foot of the grand staircase, her expression unreadable. "It was a donation," she said smoothly. "For the women's shelter downtown. I do it every month." "We'll need to check that," the detective said. "Which shelter, Mrs. Sinclair?" A slight hesitation. "Horizon House on Belmont." Madison caught Robert's eye. In the 3 years she'd worked at the mansion, she'd never heard Christine mention this regular charity work. "I'd like to see Mrs. Sinclair's office," Madison said quietly to Robert. "She doesn't have one. She uses the guest suite." Christine overheard. "Why would you need to see my private space?" "In case Caleb left something there," Madison replied evenly. "He might have been trying to tell you something." "Ridiculous. Caleb isn't allowed in my rooms without permission." The slip was subtle but damning. "My rooms, not our rooms." Robert's face hardened. "Show us, Christine, now." The guest suite was as perfect as the rest of Christine's domain. Not a pillow out of place. Not a speck of dust in sight. The only personal touch was a laptop on the writing desk. "Satisfied?" Christine asked coldly. Madison glanced at the closed bathroom door. "What about in there?" "This is an invasion of privacy," Christine protested. Robert pushed past her and opened the bathroom door. Nothing seemed amiss until Madison noticed the wastebasket. Among the tissues and cotton pads was a crumpled boarding pass, Charleston, South Carolina, dated yesterday. Charleston. Robert snatched up the boarding pass. She was in Charleston yesterday. His voice was controlled but trembling with barely contained fury. Christine's composure slipped for just a moment before she recovered. "It was a day trip for the art gallery I'm consulting with, while our son was here without telling me." Robert's face reddened. "Explain this, Christine, now." The detective cleared his throat. "Mrs. Sinclair, we'll need to verify your whereabouts yesterday. What time was your flight? Which gallery did you visit?" Madison watched Christine's eyes dart between them, calculating. "This is absurd. You can't seriously think I had anything to do with Caleb's disappearance. Her voice broke perfectly on cue, tears welling. He's my son. Mrs. Sinclair, the detective pressed. The boarding pass. I flew to Charleston for a private showing at the Westman Gallery. My return flight was at 6 p.m. I was home by 8. Ask the driver who picked me up from the airport. The detective made notes. We'll check that, ma'am. While Robert and the detective questioned Christine further, Madison slipped away to the laptop still open on the desk. The screen was locked, but a small notebook lay beside it. She flipped through it quickly. Appointment times, phone numbers labeled only with initials, and an address in Charleston scrawled on the last page. Madison committed the address to memory just as Christine's voice rose from the bathroom. How dare you imply I'm lying? My stepson is missing, and you're treating me like a criminal. Taking advantage of the distraction, Madison photographed the notebook pages with her phone, then returned to the bathroom doorway. Madison, Robert said tersely, we're going to Charleston now. What? Christine's anger shifted to alarm. Robert, be reasonable. The police are handling this. You need to stay here in case... In case what? He challenged. In case Caleb comes home, or in case whoever took him makes contact. Which is it, Christine? Both, of course. She reached for him, but he stepped back. Robert, please, you're upset. Please. We all are, the detective intervened. Mr. Sinclair, I understand your distress, but Mrs. Carter has no official standing in this investigation. If you have information pertinent to your son's disappearance, I need to know immediately. Robert hesitated, his gaze moving from Christine to Madison, then back to the detective. Check the Charleston connection, he said finally, and verify Christine's gallery visit. I'll remain here for now. Madison felt a stab of disappointment, but she understood. Robert couldn't abandon his post if there was any chance Caleb might return or a kidnapper might call. As they left the guest suite, Robert pulled Madison aside. I can't leave, he whispered. But you can. Take my car. The keys are in my study. I'll handle the police here. What about Christine? I'll keep her busy. His eyes hardened. Find my son, Madison. Whatever it takes. 20 minutes later, Madison was in Robert's Mercedes, speeding toward Interstate 40. She'd told the gate security she was running an errand for Mr. Sinclair, technically true, and they'd waved her through. In her purse was the notebook she'd stolen from Christine's desk, as Nashville receded in her rearview mirror. Madison called the only private investigator she knew, Malik Johnson, a former cop who'd helped her grandmother with insurance claims after a flood 3 years ago. Madison Carter, his gruff voice answered on the third ring. Long time. I need help, Malik, urgent. I'm listening. She explained the situation as concisely as possible. Child abduction's serious business, Malik said when she finished. You're sure this stepmom's involved? Almost certain. I need you to run a background check on Christine Blackwood, now Christine Sinclair, and I have a list of names and phone numbers I need traced. Send what you've got. I'll call you back. Madison hung up. Focusing on the road ahead, Charleston was a 7-hour drive from Nashville. 7 hours during which anything could happen to Caleb. She pressed the accelerator harder, halfway to Charleston. Madison's phone rang. It was Malik. You've got yourself one interesting case, he said without preamble. Christine Blackwood doesn't exist. At least not before 5 years ago. No birth certificate, no school records, nothing. The social security number she's using belonged to a girl who died in infancy 36 years ago. Madison's stomach tightened. She's using a dead child's identity. Classic identity theft. Now, those phone numbers you sent, 3 of them are burner phones, already disconnected, but one belongs to a man named Victor Kazarian. Ring any bells? No, who is he? Small-time hustler turned big-time forger. Does high-end identity packages for people who want to disappear. Word is, he specializes in helping wealthy women escape bad marriages with assets intact. Or helping predators target wealthy men, Madison muttered. You said it, not me. The Charleston address you sent is a property owned by a shell corporation called Nightshade Ventures. Guess who sits on their board? Kazarian. Got it in one. And here's the kicker. Your Christine has ties to at least 3 other wealthy men whose bank accounts were mysteriously drained after whirlwind romances. Different names each time. But the mo is identical. She's a professional con artist. Worse, Malik said grimly. In the last case, the victim's 8-year-old daughter disappeared after the money did. Never found. Madison's blood turned to ice. What about law enforcement? Are they onto her? They suspect, but can't prove. This woman's good. Leaves no evidence, has airtight alibis. The few witnesses who might have testified against her have a habit of disappearing themselves. I need to tell Robert. Careful, Malik warned. If she's as connected as I think, she'll have people watching him. Phone might not be secure. After hanging up, Madison pulled into a rest stop, her mind racing. She had to get to Charleston, but she also needed to warn Robert without alerting Christine. She opted for a carefully worded text, following the lead we discussed. Best to communicate in person going forward. Trust no one at home, as she waited for a response. Madison rifled through the notebook again, looking for anything she might have missed. Among the scrawled notes and numbers, one entry caught her eye. EM, final transfer 5-1, Portland office. EM. The initials niggled at her memory. Where had she seen them before? Her phone buzzed with Robert's reply. Understood. Detective confirming gallery alibi false. C agitated. Be careful. So Christine had lied about the gallery visit. No surprise there, but it confirmed Madison's suspicions. The question now was, had Christine taken Caleb to Charleston herself, or had she handed him off to an accomplice? Back on the highway, Madison called Mrs. Fletcher, hoping the housekeeper might have additional information. Madison? Mrs. Fletcher whispered. I can't talk long. The police are everywhere, and Mrs. Sinclair is watching everyone like a hawk. Did you notice anything unusual yesterday? Anything at all? A pause. Well, Mrs. Sinclair had a visitor, a man I'd never seen before, very well dressed, but something about him seemed off. They spoke in her suite for nearly an hour. Did you hear what they discussed? No, but afterward, Mrs. Sinclair seemed agitated. She made 3 calls in quick succession, then packed that suitcase I mentioned. What time was this? Early afternoon, before you left. Is there anything else you can remember about the visitor? Anything distinctive? Mrs. Fletcher lowered her voice further. He had a scar. Here. Madison could picture the housekeeper touching her right eyebrow. And he spoke with an accent. Eastern European, maybe. Thank you, Mrs. Fletcher. That's helpful. Madison? The housekeeper hesitated. Find our boy. Bring him home. As dusk fell, Madison crossed into South Carolina. The Charleston address was in her GPS, but something about it bothered her. It seemed too obvious. If Christine was as careful as Malik suggested, she wouldn't take Caleb to a property with known connections to her network. Madison's phone rang again. It was Robert. Madison. His voice was strained. The detective found something. That boarding pass. It wasn't just to Charleston. It was a connecting flight. Christine had a second leg booked to Costa Rica. One way, for today, for 2 passengers. She was planning to take Caleb. Yes, and there's more. I checked our accounts. Over the past month, she's transferred nearly $12 million to offshore holdings. The detective says it's the same pattern she's used before. With other men, Madison's grip tightened on the steering wheel. She's done this before, and got away with it. Apparently, Robert's voice cracked. How could I have been so blind? So stupid. She's a professional, Robert. It's what she does. Find him, Madison. Please. The raw desperation in his voice was painful to hear. The police are setting up surveillance at the Charleston address, but they think it's probably a decoy. After they hung up, Madison pulled over again, overwhelmed. She was racing toward an address that was likely a trap or a dead end. Meanwhile, Caleb could be anywhere, scared, alone, possibly hurt. Something else was nagging at her. The initials EMM. Where had she seen them? Then it hit her. Elizabeth Montgomery, Caleb's mother's maiden name, the Portland office. Elizabeth had been from Portland originally. Madison remembered Caleb mentioning it once, proud that his mother had grown up in the same city as his favorite author. Was it possible? Could Christine's con have begun even before Elizabeth's death? The thought was too horrible to contemplate. As she approached the outskirts of Charleston, Madison made a decision. Instead of heading directly to the Nightshade property, she would make a detour. There was one place in Charleston she needed to visit first, a place that might hold answers to questions she hadn't even thought to ask. Her mother's house, the old Charleston neighborhood of Harleston Village, stood in stark contrast to the Sinclair estate. Here, historic homes nestled close together beneath ancient oaks draped with Spanish moss, their wrought iron gates and weathered shutters telling stories of generations past. Madison slowed the Mercedes to a crawl, feeling distinctly out of place in Robert's luxury vehicle. She hadn't been to her mother's childhood home since the funeral 20 years ago, but the address remained etched in her memory. 47 Smith Street, a narrow 3-story colonial with peeling blue paint and a small garden overgrown with jasmine. The house had remained in the family after her mother's death, rented out for years until Madison's 18th birthday, when it legally became hers. She'd never had the heart to sell it. Though she rarely visited, the property management company kept it maintained, finding new tenants when old ones moved on. Now, as she parked across the street, Madison noticed the "For Rent" sign in the front yard. The place was temporarily vacant, a stroke of luck she desperately needed, using the key she'd kept on her key ring all these years. Madison let herself in. The air inside was stale, heavy with the scent of old wood and disuse. Sheets covered the furniture, ghostly shapes in the fading twilight. Madison moved through the downstairs rooms, flipping light switches that illuminated empty spaces where her childhood memories struggled to take form. Her mother had grown up in this house, had brought Madison here for holidays with grandparents long since passed. Somewhere within these walls lay the connection Madison sensed but couldn't yet define. She climbed the creaking stairs to the second floor, where her mother's bedroom had been. The room stood empty, save for built-in bookshelves and an antique writing desk that had been deemed too cumbersome to move. Madison ran her fingers along the wooden surface, remembering her mother sitting here, writing in her journal. The journal. Madison dropped to her knees, examining the desk. It was a beautiful piece, cherry wood with intricate carvings and, if she remembered correctly, a hidden compartment her grandfather had built into it. She pressed the carved rosette on the right panel, holding her breath. With a soft click, a small drawer slid out from beneath the desktop, empty except for a thick manila envelope, yellowed with age. Inside was a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon, and a small leather-bound journal. Madison's heart pounded as she unwrapped the packet. The top letter was addressed to her mother, Catherine Carter, in a strong, masculine hand. She recognized immediately Robert's handwriting with trembling fingers. Madison unfolded the first letter. Dated 26 years ago, my dearest Catherine. I can't stop thinking about you. These 2 weeks in Charleston have been the most alive I've felt in years. I know we agreed it was just a summer thing, but I find myself wondering if there could be more. My business brings me to the South often enough that we could try to make something real of this. Tell me you'll at least consider it, all my love. Robert Madison sank to the floor. Stunned, she read letter after letter, the story unfolding like a novel she couldn't put down. Robert and her mother had met when he was in Charleston on business, a passionate summer affair that continued through letters and occasional visits for nearly a year. Then she found the letter that changed everything. Catherine, I've reread your letter a dozen times trying to understand. You say you need space, that we're moving too fast after everything we've shared. This feels like more than cold feet. Is there someone else? Have I misunderstood what we meant to each other? Please, at least give me the chance to see you, to talk this through in person. I'm not giving up on us. Robert. The next letter was tear-stained, the ink blurred in places. Catherine, your silence is answer enough. I won't bother you again. I wish you well, truly. Whatever made you change your mind. I hope it brings you happiness. Robert Madison turned to the journal, flipping through pages of her mother's neat handwriting until an entry caught her eye. May 7, 1998. The test was positive. I'm pregnant. Mom and Dad are furious. All their plans for my law career crushed by one careless night with Robert. They're insisting I end it, or at the very least, give the baby up for adoption. But I can't. This child is a part of me, a part of him. Dad says I'm throwing my life away for a man who'll never commit, who'll resent being trapped by a baby. Maybe he's right. Maybe I should let Robert go. Let him build his empire without the burden of an unplanned family. He has such dreams, such ambition. A baby would only hold him back. I won't tell him. It's better this way. Madison's vision blurred with tears as the truth crystallized with devastating clarity. She read on. finding the final pieces of a puzzle she'd never known existed. December 15th, 1998. She's perfect. My beautiful Madison Elizabeth. 7 pounds, 3 ounces of pure magic. The nurse asked about her father for the birth certificate. I said unknown. The biggest lie I've ever told. I look at her tiny face and see him. His eyes, his chin. Someday she might ask, and I don't know what I'll tell her. That her father is a good man who never knew about her. That my parents forced me to choose between him and her. That I was too proud, too afraid to tell him the truth. For now, it's just us. Me and my daughter against the world. Madison closed the journal, her hands shaking violently. Robert Sinclair wasn't just Caleb's father. He was hers, too. The shock hit her in waves. Every memory of the past 3 years rearranged itself into a new pattern. Her instant connection with Caleb, the strange familiarity she'd felt with Robert from their first meeting, even her visceral dislike of Christine. It hadn't just been protective instinct. It had been blood. Recognizing blood. Madison's phone rang, jolting her back to the present. Robert. Madison. His voice was urgent. Any progress? She opened her mouth, the truth poised on her tongue. But this wasn't the time. Not with Caleb still missing. Not over the phone. I'm at my mother's old house in Charleston, she said instead, her voice surprisingly steady. I think there might be a connection between Christine and my mother. What kind of connection? I'm still putting it together. Not a lie, but not the whole truth either. Robert, did you ever spend time in Charleston? Before Elizabeth? A pause. Yes, actually. Business trips in my 20s. Why? Just trying to establish a timeline. Did you know anyone named Catherine Carter? The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Robert spoke, his voice thick with emotion. Catherine, God, I haven't heard that name in years. She was. Someone I knew briefly. Someone special. What happened? She disappeared from my life. No explanation. The pain still evident after all these years. Madison, what does this have to do with Caleb? Madison took a deep breath. Everything's connected, Robert. I need you to trust me a little longer. After hanging up, Madison gathered the letters and journal, placing them carefully in her bag. Her entire world had shifted on its axis, but she couldn't afford to be paralyzed by the revelation. Caleb, her brother, needed her. She was about to leave when something caught her eye. A small photo had fallen from the bundle of letters, showing a young Catherine with another woman, their arms around each other in front of a hospital. Madison recognized her mother instantly, but the other woman was a stranger, until she flipped the photo over and read the inscription. Catherine and Elaine, Charleston Memorial, 1997. Elaine, E.M., the same initials from Christine's notebook. Madison stared at the photo, trying to place why the woman looked familiar. Then it hit her. The eyes, not quite as dark as Christine's obsidian ones, but similar enough that they could be sisters. Madison's phone rang again. This time it was Malik. I've got something, he said without preamble. Christine Sinclair's real name is Vanessa Moretti. She has a sister, Elaine Moretti, who worked as a nurse at Charleston Memorial until 1998, when she was fired for stealing pharmaceuticals. Did Elaine ever work with a Catherine Carter? Let me check. Keyboard clicks sounded over the line. Yes, they were on the same floor, maternal fetal medicine. Wait, Carter, is that a relation of yours? My mother, Madison said softly. I think Christine, Vanessa, targeted Robert because of a grudge against my mother. A grudge that's lasted 25 years. That's one hell of a long game. It gets worse, Madison said. Robert is my father, which means Caleb is my half-brother. Malik let out a low whistle. This just turned into a soap opera. I need to get to that Nightshade property. Can you send me everything you have on Elaine Moretti? Current whereabouts, known associates, anything. On it? And Madison. Watch your back. These Moretti sisters sound like the type to hold serious grudges. As Madison left her mother's house, the pieces aligned with terrible clarity. The Moretti sisters had identified Robert as a target long ago, perhaps tracking his rise to wealth and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Elizabeth's death had provided the opportunity, with Christine playing the role of the perfect second wife, all while planning to destroy Robert financially and emotionally by taking both his fortune and his son. But why? What had happened between Elaine Moretti and her mother that warranted such elaborate revenge? The answer, Madison suspected, lay at the Nightshade property, and time was running out to find it. The Nightshade property was a colonial revival mansion in Charleston's historic Battery District, its stately facade belying whatever dark purpose it served. Madison parked a block away, watching the house from the shadows of a sprawling oak. Unlike the Sinclair estate with its obvious security, this place appeared ordinary. Deceptively so. Malik's information had painted a disturbing picture. The Moretti sisters had built a sophisticated operation targeting wealthy, vulnerable men, particularly widowers with children. Christine, the charming face of the operation, would integrate herself into their lives while Elaine handled logistics, creating false identities and preparing escape routes. But the connection to Catherine Carter complicated everything. According to hospital records Malik had found, Elaine Moretti had been fired following a patient's complaint, a complaint filed by Madison's mother. Madison's phone vibrated with a text from Robert. Police staking out Nightshade property. Christine making frantic calls. Claims I've frozen accounts illegally. Be careful, she replied quickly. Will do. Any news on Caleb? Nothing. Detective thinks he's still in Charleston. Madison studied the Nightshade property, noting the unmarked police car parked halfway down the block. If Caleb was inside, the police would have found him already. This was indeed a decoy, meant to distract from wherever Christine had actually taken the boy. Madison closed her eyes, trying to think like Christine, like Vanessa Moretti. If the Nightshade property was compromised, where would she go? What was her contingency plan? Her phone rang. Private number. Hello? Madison answered warily. Miss Carter. The voice was male, vaguely European, and entirely unfamiliar. You've been asking questions about Vanessa Moretti. Madison's pulse quickened. Who is this? Someone who knows where the boy is. Caleb. Is he all right? Who are you? My name is Victor. I worked for the Moretti sisters, until they stopped paying. Now I work for myself. Victor Kazarian, the forger Malik had mentioned. What do you want? Madison demanded. Same thing as you. The boy's safe return. Meet me at the Harbor View Cafe in 30 minutes. Come alone. The line went dead. Madison texted Robert about the call, then drove to the waterfront. The Harbor View Cafe sat on a pier overlooking Charleston Harbor, nearly empty on this chilly spring evening. She spotted him immediately. A lean man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair and the scar misses. Fletcher had described above his right eyebrow. Victor, Madison acknowledged, sliding into the booth across from him. He nodded. Miss Carter? Or should I say, Miss Sinclair? Madison stiffened. You know, I know everything about the Moretti operation. I created their identities, their paper trails. He sipped his coffee. Including the evidence against your mother. What evidence? What are you talking about? Victor's eyes, tired and cynical, studied her face. You really don't know, do you? Catherine Carter reported Elaine Moretti for stealing drugs. Yes, but that wasn't the real issue. Elaine was pregnant. Your mother was her obstetrician. Madison felt cold suddenly. What happened? Complications. The baby died. Elaine blamed your mother, claimed she was negligent because she was distracted by her own pregnancy. With you. Victor shrugged. Was it true? Who knows? But Elaine believed it, and Vanessa believed her sister. So this whole thing, Christine marrying Robert, the con, taking Caleb, it's all revenge for something that happened 25 years ago. Partially, the money is always a factor, of course. But yes, when they discovered that Robert Sinclair's nanny was Catherine Carter's daughter, he spread his hands. It was too perfect to pass up. How did they even make that connection? Vanessa has sources everywhere. Hospital records, society pages. When she saw your name linked to the Sinclair household, she investigated. Victor leaned forward. The sisters have been planning this for years, identifying targets, executing cons. But Robert Sinclair was special, the ultimate revenge. Madison's stomach churned with disgust. Where is Caleb? Is he safe? For now, Elaine has him at a boathouse on Sullivan's Island. They're leaving for Costa Rica tonight on a private yacht. Why are you telling me this? What do you want? Victor's expression hardened. Vanessa promised me $2 million for this job. Instead, She's trying to have me eliminated. Loose ends. You understand? I want safe passage out of the country and half what she owes me. I can't authorize that kind of money, Madison said carefully. Your father can. Victor slid a piece of paper across the table. These are the account details. $1 million transferred within the hour. In exchange, you get the boy's exact location. Madison stared at the paper. How do I know you're telling the truth? That Caleb is even alive? Victor pulled out his phone, showing her a photo time-stamped 2 hours earlier. Caleb, pale but unharmed, sat on a bed in what looked like a rustic cabin, clutching a toy dinosaur. That's from Elaine's boathouse, Victor said. She's watching him until Vanessa arrives with the final transfer confirmations. Madison texted the account details to Robert with a brief explanation, then waited in tense silence. 10 minutes later, her phone chimed. It's done, she told Victor after checking Robert's confirmation. Now, where exactly is this boathouse? Victor wrote down coordinates. Northeast end of Sullivan's Island, accessible only by the beach or by boat. He stood to leave. One more thing. Elaine is unhinged, more dangerous than her sister. Be careful. After Victor left, Madison immediately called the detective in charge of Caleb's case, relaying everything except the revelation about her parentage. Within minutes, a rescue operation was being coordinated. We need to move fast but carefully, the detective told her. If they spook, they might harm the boy or flee with him. I'm going, Madison insisted. Caleb knows me. He'll be frightened without a familiar face. The detective hesitated, then agreed. Stay with the second team. No heroics. An hour later, Madison huddled in an unmarked police SUV on Sullivan's Island, watching through binoculars as officers in tactical gear surrounded a weathered boathouse perched above the beach. Through the windows, a single light burned. Movement inside. A voice crackled over the radio. One adult female. One child. Madison's heart raced, so close. Teams in position. On my mark. Suddenly, a sleek black Audi screeched to a halt near the boathouse. Christine stepped out, moving with urgent purpose toward the door. Second subject on sight, the radio hissed. It's the stepmother. Execute now, the detective barked. Everything happened in a blur. Officers converged on the boathouse from all directions. Shouts of, "Police! Freeze!" carried on the wind. Christine froze momentarily, then bolted for the beach. 2 officers tackled her before she reached the water. Through the binoculars, Madison saw Christine fighting wildly, her perfect composure shattered into raw animal fury. Child secured, the radio announced. Repeat, we have the boy. He appears unharmed. Madison was out of the SUV before anyone could stop her, running across the sand toward the boathouse where an officer emerged carrying Caleb. The boy's face was tear-streaked but whole, his eyes wide with confusion until he spotted her. "Madison!" he cried, reaching for her with desperate arms. The officer, seeing Madison's credentials and the boy's reaction, transferred Caleb to her. He clung to her neck, his small body trembling violently. "I knew you'd come," he whispered against her hair. "I told the mean lady you'd find me." "I'll always find you," Madison promised, her voice breaking. "Always." Over Caleb's shoulder, Madison watched Christine being handcuffed and led to a police car. Their eyes met across the beach. Obsidian against blue. Christine's face contorted with hatred, so pure it seemed to radiate heat even from a distance. "You ruined everything," Christine spat as she was forced into the back seat. "This isn't over." Madison turned away, sheltering Caleb's face against her shoulder. "It is for you," she murmured, too low for him to hear. Inside the boathouse, officers were handcuffing another woman, Elaine Moretti. The resemblance to Christine was striking. Though Elaine was thinner, her face more haggard, she didn't struggle, staring instead at Madison with eerie calmness. "Catherine's daughter," she said softly as they passed. "You look just like her." Madison paused, Caleb still in her arms. "My mother was a good doctor," she said evenly. "Whatever happened to your baby wasn't her fault." "You don't know anything," Elaine hissed, her calm evaporating. "She took everything from me, so I took everything from her. Her lover, her grandchild." Madison clutched Caleb tighter, backing away from the raw madness in Elaine's eyes. You didn't, though, she said quietly. We're still here. Outside, Robert's Mercedes screeched to a halt beside the police vehicles. He leapt out, his face wild with hope and fear. Daddy! Caleb cried. Madison set the boy down, watching through a blur of tears as he ran to his father. Robert caught him in fierce embrace, dropping to his knees on the sand. For a moment, Madison hung back, the weight of her newfound knowledge heavy on her shoulders. Father and son reunited, their bond apparent in every desperate word and touch. Her family, yet not her family. Not officially, not yet. Then Robert looked up, his eyes finding hers over Caleb's head. In that gaze, Madison saw gratitude, admiration, and something else. Something that felt like recognition. Madison, he called, extending one arm while keeping the other tight around Caleb. Come here, please. She stepped forward, uncertain. We owe you everything, Robert said, his voice thick with emotion. Both of us, don't we, Caleb? The boy nodded against his father's chest, then reached one small hand toward Madison. She took it, completing the circle. Father, son, daughter. The Sullivan's Island police station buzzed with activity. Officers processed evidence while detectives questioned Christine and Elaine in separate interrogation rooms. In a small break room away from the chaos, Madison sat beside Caleb, who dozed fitfully against her shoulder, emotionally exhausted from his ordeal. Robert paced nearby, alternating between phone calls to his lawyer and anxious glances at his son. After the initial tearful reunion on the beach, there had been no opportunity for private conversation, no moment to share the life-altering truth Madison had discovered. A detective entered, nodding respectfully to Robert. Mr. Sinclair, we've completed our preliminary questioning of your wife. His tone shifted slightly on the word, wife. She's demanding her lawyer. Of course, but we have enough to hold her on kidnapping charges, identity fraud, and financial crimes. What about Elaine Moretti? Madison asked. Less cooperative. She keeps asking to speak to you, actually. The detective frowned. I wouldn't recommend it. Madison glanced at Caleb's sleeping form, then at Robert. I want to talk to her. Madison. No, Robert said firmly. You've done enough. These women are dangerous. I need answers, Robert. Madison carefully shifted Caleb onto the small couch. About my mother. About all of this. Their eyes met in a moment of unspoken communication. A moment that felt like recognition of their shared blood. I'll stay with Caleb, Robert said finally. Be careful. The detective led Madison to the observation room adjoining Elaine's interrogation cell. Through the one-way glass, Madison studied the woman who had nursed a decades-long vendetta against her mother. Elaine sat ramrod straight, her hands neatly folded on the metal table. Her resemblance to Christine more pronounced in the harsh fluorescent lighting. 5 minutes, the detective warned. She's manipulative and unstable. Madison entered the interrogation room alone, the door locking behind her with an ominous click. Elaine looked up, a smile spreading across her face that didn't reach her eyes. The daughter, she said softly. I've waited a long time to meet you. Madison sat across from her. I can't say the same. Elaine tilted her head, studying Madison with unnerving intensity. You have her eyes, Catherine's eyes. Did she ever tell you about me? No. She died when I was 7. Something flickered across Elaine's face. Surprise? Perhaps even a hint of disappointment. I didn't know. What happened? Brain aneurysm? Sudden? Madison leaned forward. Why did you hate her so much? What really happened 25 years ago? Elaine's calm facade cracked slightly. She killed my baby. My beautiful daughter died because Catherine Carter was too distracted by her own pregnancy to properly monitor mine. That's not how medicine works. Complications happen. Not to me. Elaine's fist slammed the table. I was healthy. My baby was healthy, until Catherine missed the signs of preeclampsia because she was too busy planning her own maternity leave, too busy protecting the baby she was carrying. Yours. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Robert Sinclair's baby. Madison kept her expression neutral, despite the shock reverberating through her. How did you know Robert was my father? A cold smile. Hospital gossip. Catherine was so careful. But people talk. I heard her on the phone with him once, before she knew I was there. So in love. So excited to tell him about the baby. Elaine's eyes narrowed. But she never did she? She kept you from him. That was her choice, Madison said evenly. It doesn't justify what you and your sister did, doesn't it? An eye for an eye, a child for a child. Elaine's voice hardened. Catherine took my daughter, so we took Robert from her, and we were going to take his son too. Perfect symmetry. Except you failed, Madison said quietly. Caleb is safe. For now. Elaine's smile returned, more disturbing than before. But Vanessa and I planned for years. Do you really think we don't have contingencies? A chill ran down Madison's spine. What does that mean? It means this isn't over, Catherine's daughter. Elaine leaned forward. There are others. People you'll never see coming until it's too late. People we've paid very well to finish what we started. Before Madison could respond, the door opened. The detective gestured for her to leave. Time's up, he said firmly. Madison rose, unsettled by Elaine's cryptic warning. At the door, she paused. Whatever happened to your baby? I'm sorry, but my mother was a good doctor and a good person. Your revenge was misplaced. We'll see, Elaine replied softly. We'll see who history remembers as the villain in this story. Outside, Madison leaned against the wall, processing the disturbing conversation. The detective eyed her with concern. You okay? No, she answered honestly. How much of what she said should I believe? People like the Moretti sisters blend truth with lies so seamlessly even they can't separate them anymore. He sighed. But the threat about contingencies that we're taking seriously, we've got officers escorting you and the Sinclairs back to Nashville. When Madison returned to the break room, she found Robert sitting beside the still sleeping Caleb, his expression troubled. What did she say? He asked. A lot of delusional ranting about my mother, and a threat about having other people in place to continue their plan. Robert scrubbed a hand over his face. The detective mentioned that they're arranging protection for us. Robert, there's something I need to tell you. Madison took a deep breath. Something I found in my mother's house. A commotion in the hallway interrupted her. The detective burst in, his expression urgent. We need to move you now. Christine Moretti has escaped custody. What? How? Robert demanded, immediately gathering Caleb into his arms. During transfer to the county jail, her transport was ambushed, 1 officer down, 2 assailants. The detective was already ushering them toward the rear exit. We have a safe house ready. Let's go. The next hour passed in a blur of police escorts and tense silence. They were driven to a small marina where a police boat waited to take them to an undisclosed location. As they boarded, Madison noticed a sleek yacht moored at the far end of the dock. Detective, she said quietly, pointing. Isn't that the boat Victor mentioned? The one they were planning to escape on? He nodded grimly. We've had it under surveillance since your tip, no movement so far. The boat ride was brief, ending at a private dock connected to a modern beach house on a secluded stretch of shoreline. Inside, officers had already swept the premises and established a perimeter. You'll be safe here until we apprehend Christine, the detective assured them. We have officers stationed outside and marine patrols monitoring the water approach. After he left, Madison helped Robert settle Caleb into one of the bedrooms. The boy had barely stirred during the transfer, his body making up for the terror of the previous hours with deep, healing sleep. He's resilient, Madison murmured, brushing Caleb's hair from his forehead. Children are stronger than we give them credit for. Robert watched from the doorway, his face etched with guilt and exhaustion. I should have listened to you from the beginning. I was so blind. Christine, Vanessa, is a professional. She fooled everyone. They moved to the living room, where floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the dark water. For a moment, they sat in silence, the enormity of the day's events settling around them. What were you going to tell me? Robert finally asked. At the police station before we were interrupted, Madison's heart hammered in her chest. I found letters in my mother's house. Letters from you to her, from when you were together, and her journal. Robert's expression softened with memories. Catherine, God, I haven't allowed myself to think about her in years. She disappeared from my life so suddenly. I never understood why. She was pregnant, Madison said quietly. With me. The words hung in the air between them. Robert stared at her, his eyes widening as the implications sank in. You're my... He couldn't finish, his voice failing. Madison nodded. I'm your daughter. Robert's face went through a kaleidoscope of emotions. Shock, disbelief, wonder, and finally, a dawning recognition. "Your eyes," he whispered. "I always thought there was something familiar about your eyes, and the way you tuck your hair behind your ear, just like she did." "She never told you," Madison said. "Her parents pressured her. They thought she'd be trapping you, derailing your career." Robert covered his face with his hands. "All these years, I had a daughter all these years and never knew." When he looked up, his eyes were wet. "Madison, A crash from the bedroom interrupted them. Caleb's terrified scream pierced the air. Madison was on her feet instantly, Robert right behind her. They burst into the bedroom to find the window shattered, glass shards glittering on the carpet. Outside on the beach, a figure ran toward a waiting boat, Caleb struggling in their arms. "Caleb!" Robert shouted, already climbing through the broken window. Madison followed, cutting her arm on a shard of glass but barely noticing the pain. They sprinted across the sand, the gap closing as the kidnapper, a man Madison didn't recognize, struggled with the fighting, kicking boy. The boat's engine roared to life. At the helm stood Christine, her face contorted with triumph when she spotted them. "Stop!" Madison screamed, pushing her body to its limit. The kidnapper had almost reached the boat when Caleb sank his teeth into the man's hand, howling in pain. He dropped the boy, who immediately scrambled away on hands and knees. Robert reached Caleb first, scooping him up and retreating toward the house. Madison continued toward the boat, rage propelling her forward. Christine leapt from the craft, a gun in her hand. "Stay back," she warned, aiming at Madison. "It's over, Christine," Madison said, slowing but not stopping. "You've lost. I told you this wasn't finished." Christine's smile was feral, desperate. "I've spent too many years planning this to walk away now." "Planning what? Revenge for something that wasn't even my mother's fault. Your mother took everything from my sister. Her baby, her career, her sanity." Christine's hand trembled slightly. "Family is everything. You should understand that. Now that you've found yours," Madison took another step closer. "Put the gun down, Christine. The police are on their way." Too late. Christine glanced over her shoulder at the beach house, where floodlights had suddenly illuminated the scene. Officers were spilling onto the sand. "But I can still take something precious from Robert Sinclair." She shifted the gun toward the retreating forms of Robert and Caleb. In that moment, Madison didn't think. She acted. She lunged forward, crashing into Christine just as the gun fired. They fell together onto the wet sand, struggling for control of the weapon. Christine was surprisingly strong, her manicured nails raking across Madison's face as they rolled in the surf. "He's mine!" Christine screamed. Her perfect composure finally shattered completely. "The money, the boy, all of it. Mine!" Madison gained leverage, pinning Christine's gun hand against the sand. "No!" she grunted through gritted teeth. "They're mine! My family!" Police spotlights illuminated them as officers converged. With a final surge of strength, Madison wrenched the gun away, tossing it toward the approaching officers. Christine bucked and twisted beneath her. "You think this is over. You've ruined everything. I'll never stop." A wave crashed over them, momentarily silencing Christine's threats. When the water receded, officers were there, pulling Christine away in handcuffs while others helped Madison to her feet. Soaked and bleeding from multiple cuts, Madison staggered back up the beach to where Robert stood holding Caleb, both watching with identical expressions of fear and relief. "Madison," Caleb broke free from his father. Running to her, "You fought the bad lady." She dropped to her knees in the sand, gathering him into a fierce embrace. "I told you I'd always find you, didn't I?" Over Caleb's shoulder, her eyes met Robert's. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of shared blood, shared purpose, shared love for the boy between them. Father, daughter, brother, family. 3 weeks after the beach house confrontation, the Sinclair mansion buzzed with renewed life. Workers removed the last traces of Christine's presence. The stark modern furniture, the colorless decor, the locked doors, replacing them with warmth and light. Caleb's laughter, once stifled, now echoed freely through the halls. On the wide back porch, Madison sat beside her grandmother, whose wheelchair had been positioned to catch the late afternoon sun. Gran's arthritic hands rested on a colorful quilt spread across her lap, a housewarming gift for their new accommodations in the mansion's east wing. "It's a fine house," Gran conceded, gazing across the rolling Tennessee hills, "though I do miss my porch swing. Robert said we could install one here," Madison reminded her. Gran chuckled. "That man would move mountains to please you now that he knows." She patted Madison's hand. "How is the boy doing?" Madison glanced through the French doors to where Caleb sat at the kitchen island. Tongue caught between his teeth in concentration as he drew. "Better. The nightmares are less frequent. The therapist says he's processing everything remarkably well. And Robert," Madison sighed, following her grandmother's gaze to the tall figure walking the perimeter of the grounds, phone pressed to his ear. Even from a distance, the tension in his shoulders was visible. Still blaming himself, still fighting to secure Christine's conviction. The legal proceedings against Christine and Elaine Moretti had dominated headlines for weeks. Robert had thrown his considerable resources behind the prosecution, determined to ensure the sisters spent decades behind bars. The evidence was damning. False identities, financial fraud, kidnapping, attempted murder. Yet the sisters had resources of their own and powerful connections. The battle promised to be long and ugly. "And how are you, sweet girl?" Gran's perceptive eyes studied Madison's face. "Finding out your father is one of the richest men in Tennessee isn't a small thing." Before Madison could answer, Caleb burst through the doors, clutching a drawing. "Madison, I made this for you." She examined the colorful image. 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a house. The tallest wore a business suit. The smallest had yellow, spiky hair, and the middle figure had long brown hair like Madison's. Above them, in careful block letters, "My family. It's beautiful, buddy." Madison hugged him close, breathing in the scent of crayons and the apple shampoo he'd started using again after Christine's preferred brand had been banished. "Is that us?" He nodded against her shoulder. "You, me, and Dad. Dad said I should put you in the picture now because you're my sister. Is that okay?" Madison's throat tightened. "Of course it's okay. I'm so happy to be your sister." "Half-sister," Caleb corrected solemnly. Dad explained about having different moms, but the same dad. "It's like my friend Tommy who has a half-brother in college." "That's right." Madison smiled at his matter-of-fact acceptance. "We're half-siblings, but whole family." Caleb considered this, then nodded approval. "I'm going to show Dad my picture." As he ran toward Robert, Madison watched the man she'd known for 3 years. Her employer, her charge's father, now her own father, turn from his phone call and kneel to receive Caleb's gift. The tenderness in his face as he studied the drawing made her heart ache. "He's a good man," Gran observed quietly. "Foolish sometimes, like all men, but good at his core." Madison nodded. "He is." Their relationship remained tentative, fragile. The revelation of their biological connection had been overshadowed by Christine's arrest, Caleb's recovery, and the legal storm that followed. They'd had little time for the private conversations such a discovery warranted. Madison watched Robert pocket his phone and take Caleb's hand. Together, they walked back toward the porch, 2 dark heads tilted toward each other in conversation. So alike. The same determined set of the jaw, the same thoughtful pause before speaking. "Ladies," Robert greeted them, his smile warming as it fell on Madison. "How are we enjoying the afternoon?" "It's a fine day," Gran replied. "Though I was just telling Madison I miss my porch swing." "Consider it done." Robert made a note in his phone. "We'll have one installed by tomorrow." "Oh, don't fuss," Gran protested, though her eyes twinkled. "I'm just an old woman who likes to complain." "Well, this old woman deserves the best porch swing money can buy," Robert insisted. To Caleb, he added, "How about you take Great-Gran inside for some lemonade? I'd like to speak with Madison for a moment." Once they were alone, Robert settled into the chair beside Madison's. For a while, they sat in companionable silence, watching the sun begin its descent behind the hills. "I spoke with Victor Kazarian's attorney today," Robert finally said. "He's agreed to testify against the Moretti sisters in exchange for immunity. That's good news." "Yes, his testimony should ensure they never see freedom again." Robert's expression darkened. "To think I brought that woman into our home, into Caleb's life." "Christine fooled everyone," Madison said gently, "including me at first. Not for long you saw through her." Robert turned to face her fully. I keep thinking about what might have happened if you hadn't been here. If Catherine hadn't." His voice trailed off, the mention of Madison's mother still a tender subject between them. Madison gathered her courage. "If my mother had told you about me, things would have been different for all of us," she acknowledged. "But she made the choice she thought was right at the time." "I wish I'd known," Robert said quietly. "I wish I'd had the chance to watch you grow up." "Me too," Madison admitted. "But we can't change the past. We can only decide what to do with the present." Robert nodded, then reached into his jacket pocket. "I have something for you." He handed her a thick envelope. "The deed to the Charleston house, transferred to your name, and something else I thought you should have." Madison opened the envelope, finding legal documents for the house, and beneath them, a small velvet box. Inside lay a delicate silver locket. "It was my mother's," Robert explained. "She gave it to me before she died. Said I should give it to my daughter someday. I kept it all these years, even after Elizabeth and I had Caleb. Somehow I never felt right giving it to anyone else." Madison lifted the locket with trembling fingers. Inside was a small space for a photograph, currently empty. "I thought maybe a picture of Catherine," Robert suggested softly, "and one of Caleb, the family you've always had, and the family you've just found." Tears welled in Madison's eyes. "It's beautiful, thank you." Robert hesitated, then took her free hand. "Madison, I know this is all new and overwhelming. I'm not expecting anything. I just want you to know that you have a place here, not as Caleb's nanny, but as my daughter, whatever that means to you, whatever you're comfortable with." "I'd like to stay," Madison said, surprised by how easily the words came. "For Caleb, for Gran, and for us, to see what kind of relationship we might build." Relief flooded Robert's face. "I'd like that too." The sound of the French doors opening interrupted them. Caleb bounded out, followed by Mrs. Fletcher carrying a tray of lemonade. "Dad, Madison, Mrs. Fletcher made cookies too," he announced, dropping onto the porch beside Madison's chair. He noticed the locket in her hand. "What's that?" "A gift from your dad," Madison explained, slipping the chain around her neck. "A family heirloom." "Cool." Caleb leaned against her legs. "Are you really going to live with us forever now?" Madison exchanged a glance with Robert, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. "Yes, buddy, if that's okay with you." "It's the best." Caleb pumped his fist in the air. "Dad said we might even go to Disney World this summer. All of us, even Great Gran." "Did he now?" Madison raised an eyebrow at Robert, who had the grace to look sheepish. "I might have mentioned it as a possibility," he admitted. "Once things settled down." As Mrs. Fletcher distributed lemonade and cookies, Madison felt a sense of peace settle over her. The road ahead wouldn't be simple. The legal battles, the media attention, the process of integrating into each other's lives as family rather than employer and employee. But for the first time since discovering the truth, she felt certain they would navigate it together. Later, as twilight descended over the Sinclair estate, Madison stood at the window of her new suite, watching fireflies rise from the gardens below. The mansion that had once felt like a beautiful prison under Christine's influence now radiated a sense of possibility. She thought of her mother, who had made the difficult choice to raise Madison alone, believing it best for everyone. She thought of Elizabeth, whose memory Caleb now spoke of freely again, no longer afraid of Christine's disapproval. Two mothers, both gone too soon, both leaving behind pieces of themselves in the children who remained. A soft knock at her door revealed Caleb in dinosaur pajamas, clutching a book. "Can you read to me tonight?" "Dad says it's okay." Madison smiled, taking his small hand in hers. "Always." As they walked down the hallway to Caleb's room, Madison felt the weight of the locket against her chest. Empty now, but waiting to be filled with faces of the family she'd always had, and the family she'd just discovered. A family bound by blood and by choice, by loss and by love. A family that, against all odds, had found its way home.